Hi guys, and welcome back to Christian Casts, where I build baits so you don't have to. Today is going to be a messy one. I already warned all of you because I actually had my audio fall out straight away after grounding this bait of today, and I'm not too sure what I'm going to do. We're going to speed through the processes of building the bait, and I'll maybe do a little bit of a voiceover, but I've never done that before, so we'll see how that turns out. But it's going to be also quite cool because we used 3D printed stencils that I made myself, and it's the first time that I actually used something like a stencil for the entire bait, and they aren't completely optimized yet, but I'll get to that in the outro, where I will just talk about the improvements that I'm going to do on the stencil. I've got quite a lot of them that I want to be printing and try out different baits. As you guys can see, the bait of today is this little one. It's a little bit of a sneak peek. Also had a little bit of trouble with the bait itself because it is a new model, so I didn't have the weight completely set yet, but we'll also see that in the outro. I'll drop it in the tank, and I had to play around with weighting it a little bit more because it is very buoyant, so I might redesign the A pocket in the future. And then I still want to show you guys something that I have been working on. It is a little display box of my lures because a lot of people already asked if they can buy the lures or if I maybe do a giveaway in the future. And also for a lot of my friends fish as well, so I am actually planning to make a little bit of a gift box. So as you guys can see, you have got the lure presented with the split rings, a little tweezer for mounting the split rings, and the hooks, and the two hooks that I actually use with the bait. A lot of people actually asked me, why do you present it like this or package it like this? It seems a lot for just mounting the hooks and split rings and sending them directly. I decided to do it this way because it's a little bit of a gift idea and it's a bit more of an experience once you open it. And also the hooks I actually use are not after all regulations and rules in other countries, and there's a lot of rules all over the place what is allowed and what not. So I thought it would give the person who actually gets the box the option to mount their own screws. They can use the screws I actually use. They can use the hooks I actually use, or they can just put their own hooks on. So that was a little bit of the thought process behind that. It's still in the prototyping, and I'm playing around a bit with printing the in material, and we'll get into that anyway. But now we'll straight away start the bait build. It's a little bit of a messy one, like I warned you guys, and I'll see you guys on the desk in a moment. So, welcome back to the desk. We've got our new lure ready for the airbrushing, and I've also got my stencils. As we said, we'll be using them afterwards in the video. I'll add some details. That's why I actually made this lure, as I said earlier. So let's get started. As you might have noticed, I've actually got a new white, and it's a lot thinner than the other one, so airbrushing is a lot easier, but you have to be careful with making spots. And I would say this is pretty ready for the first base coat, and we're going to be working with some green that we'll be taking down quite far, and then we'll be adding some other things as well still. So we are now going to start with our voiceover. Welcome, and as you guys can see, I am actually spraying the bait from the top and the sides with our olive green, and we're just going to see that we get a nice coverage. And the next thing we will actually be adding, as shown in the video, is a golden lateral line along the side, and we're actually going to take some brown from the top and then some bronze as well to give it a little bit more of a shimmer and a color change. So that we're going to be facing in the next steps, and we'll start with the gold lateral line right now. As you guys can see, I'm going to just go really straight across our bait and create a very shimmering main focus for our lure, and I'm quite happy with that. As you can see, it's really shimmering and it shows quite a lot. Now we will take our brown and actually darken down the top, as you guys can see, and also spray the sides a little bit, that we have a transition of colors on the side of our lure. So now I'm just darkening down the top still and the sides, that we get some good coverage, and then we'll look at it once more before adding the bronze. And the bronze just brings out the brown a little bit more and adds some shimmering to it, so that we are actually going to be doing right now. As you can see, I'm going to do a very light touch up and not adding too much to our bait. It is just a effect, and we just want the lure to shimmer a little bit more. Now we are actually going to start the very interesting part. As I was saying at the beginning, I printed my own stencils, and it was a little bit of a fight because they still have a rough surface, but they do work, as you can see right there. You just have to be careful when pressing on, because if you actually pause the video when I show you, you see that I scuffed the paint on the bottom layer. So I still have to work, maybe make the stencil a little bit more flexible, or not press down on the lure as much as I was doing. So once we have done the black, we actually are going to darken down the top as well with our black, and just connect the stencil with the complete look of our lure. So we've got our stripes, it looks a little bit military style, and now we're already adding our scales. So the scales we're going to be using today are silver again. I tried the technique of spraying from the side. I find they were a little bit too heavy this time. I sprayed a little bit too much, and I also darkened down the color again, and they are quite strong. But you'll see it now in the reveal anyway. We're gonna just unwrap our little parcel here, and then you can actually see what I mean with I find these scales a little bit too heavy. One thing I really like is that the lure itself is very shimmering, and you still see quite a lot of the bottom if you hold it at a special angle, and otherwise you just get flashes, and I think that is going to be very good. So I had a little bit of a fight with adding eyes this time. I wasn't sure which ones, and I decided to use these orange cat eye optic, and it actually turns out quite well. I like the look of the lure, but you'll see it in a moment anyway. The lure itself, the form, I'm not too sure yet what I should hold of it, and I'm not too sure if I'm going to be making a lot of variations of paint schemes of this lure. We'll see how it performs, and maybe I'll redesign some parts of it before reprinting it. Now we're just going to head over to the clear coat, And at this point, I just want to thank you guys once again for tuning in, because this was my first time doing a voiceover, and the audio is going to be back right in a moment. So I'll be saying goodbye and we'll get to the original audio again. So we'll see you guys soon. So I have actually got no idea if my mic was switched on, so we'll see that once I am reviewing the footage. Now I'm just gonna set this off to harden and I'll get you guys back for the outro. So, welcome back to the outro. We have finished another lure of ours. To the stencils, I have to say I do enjoy them quite a lot, and they work well if the airbrush paint is really thin. They still scuff up the paint job a little bit, so I'm still going to work on that, maybe not press as hard or try to be very gentle. But for the first time actually using them, I'm quite happy with how they performed. The only thing I would change is actually the thickness of the stencil. I would try to go a little bit thinner and maybe see if I can find a sweet spot that they are more flexible, because if you see, they are not too flexible and you actually have to apply a lot of pressure to get the curve that you have got on your lure. So that is one thing that I'm going to do. I might halve the thickness of the prints and then also try other stencils, because I've got quite a lot that I would like to try and that I've been designing. So those are like little stencil cards that I'm going to be printing over time and just adding to the bait building. And now we'll actually go to the interesting part and dunk in our lure. So if you want to see him one more time, and I think I went a little heavy on the scales today, but we'll see how he looks once we drop him. And you see he is a little head heavy, which I'm not too sure what I should hold of it, and he also still floats. So I might actually still set the weight a little bit to the back still, and also make a little bit more of full material that I print, that he sinks a little bit more, because as he is right now, I'm interested how it actually is once I fish with him, because it could be that it actually works quite well. And once you stop reeling in, he comes back like this. And once you start reeling, he floats down. So we'll see that as soon as the fishing season starts. I'll take him out for a spin. And until then, keep on fishing if you guys can at the moment. And we'll see each other for the next bait build. I'm actually going to do a video about how I prepare the baits beforehand and before the airbrushing process, because somebody actually asked how I managed to get the 3D printed lure blanks that I have. Well, he asked why one doesn't see the print lines, and if I could make a video to how I prepare the lure blanks themselves. So I'm going to do that and take you guys with, and we're going to go through the sealing process and the sanding process and just the steps that I do beforehand and before airbrushing. So if you're interested, you can tune in next week and we'll see each other. So I wish you a good one. Cheers.